Hello beautiful people, listen Daruma, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be checking this video from Piers Morgan. Together, let's check it out.
One thing that happened here, Kehinde, this is producer of a West End show, Slave Play, which features a Games of Thrones star, Kit Harington, among the cast. It runs from end of June to end of September at the Noel Coward Theatre, and will have blackout events confirmed to be taking place on 2 of those nights. This is where 2 performances will be aimed at an all-black identifying audience that is free from the white gaze, and it follows a similar thing on Broadway in 2019. Now, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's official spokesman says restricting audiences on the basis of race would be wrong and divisive. My take on this was, I was trying to imagine if you had an all-white cast and you said, right, we're going to have an all-white identifying audience free from the black gaze, you would go absolutely apoplectic with rage.
It clearly wouldn't be the same.
Why wouldn't it be the same?
Because the problem here is, if you go to some of these shows, you will find there is an all-white audience. Unfortunately, because of the way it works, some of these places, they are almost exclusively white. And so
but advertising it in that way, you would deem it extremely racist and offensive.
So there is a problem that you have almost all white audiences, and it doesn't feel like a safe space for black audience members or cast. And so what you're saying is trying to address this problem. Let's have an all-black space.
So when you go to the theatre, if you see white,
no problem of all
to be
black,
clear, when you go to the theatre and you see white people there, you don't feel safe.
No, when I promise you go to a theatre and it's all black people, you'll feel away. I promise you, 100% promise you. Have you ever been into a theatre and it's all black?
I've been to rap concerts in America where I've been one of the few white people. Yeah,
it's different.
I thought absolutely fine, thanks.
The point is, it's different. When you go, it's different for me. When I go into these places, it's different. It doesn't feel comfortable.
But just to make it, so in answer to my question, though, that's my question. If there was an all-white identifying audience billed as the marketing that was free from the black gaze, you would say that was racist.
Because it would be racist. This is to address a specific problem. Yeah. There is in the cultural sector, there is all white spaces. So how do you address that?
Right, so racist if it's to do with...
You're just minimising the importance of that conversation again. You're just making it a hypocritical conversation to cause an argument.
Or am I exposing a double standard?
No, there isn't a double standard.
I'm actually exposing the hypocrisy.
One of these groups is a minority and one isn't. And you always bang on, and I hate to bring this in because I don't want to have a debate about it, but you always bring in safe spaces for women, which I completely agree with. And you talk about how important that is, but then suddenly when there's a safe space for black people, you've got an issue with it. So what's going on there?
I don't understand why
some double standards there.
Theatre is not
answer my question, please. There's some double standards.
Sorry,
in that.
you're making out that somehow black people can't go to the theatre for fear of
No,
what?
but we're having a conversation about safe spaces, and the idea is that by doing a blackout event, it will feel safer for that community to talk.
So what if I want to have a white?
So you see the problem. You see exactly where or what we've been saying. So now having a black space only or black people only theater is a safe space, right? So having a white space or white theater or white only people theater is racism. Make it make sense. But obviously people want to ignore the fact or ignore that because it's only beneficial to some particular group of people or one group of people, but it's not. So what are we doing? Why are we doing this? But yet excusing this because obviously some particular group of people are minorities doesn't even make sense. If white people were to do or have white only theater, you see people come and talk about how the everything is built on racism or how racist white people are, but black people having black only theater is not racism, is not segregation, is not what, but no, is a safe space. Highlighting the word safe space. Safe from who? White people. But if white people were to have or do the exact same thing, it is racism. So it looks like we're excusing some particular behavior or allowing some particular thing just because some group of people think it is okay. You know, you will not accept it if it were from some other group of people or from some people. But you want to do it or dish it to them anyways. Why is that?
Sad event.
They all are white.
Well, you can join the Ku Klux Klan if you want, Piers. You're more than welcome.
So if it's a whiteout event, it's Ku Klux Klan, right? Who are the most racist group in history? I got it. So one way, if it's whiteout, Ku Klux Klan.
The point is,
if it's blackout, absolutely fine.
Piers, the point is, it's already white.
You see how ridiculous it sounds?
The point
you see how ridiculous you sound.
Let's bring in Amala, the voice of common sense. Amala, I mean, just hearing these two, honestly, trying to work out in their brains very slowly, it seems to me, the ridiculous double standard of what they're saying. You must be laughing, aren't you?
Oh, I'm laughing. I'm shaking my head. To me, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is one of the most blatantly racist things I've seen in quite some time. And it's quite literally demeaning to Black people. How insulting that you would say to Black people that they don't feel safe in a space because there are fellow white people there and they need to be safe from the white gaze. And how racist it is to white people to exclude them from being able to enjoy something like the theater. This is very reminiscent of the Jim Crow South that we experienced in America, where you had white and colored water fountains. This is the very same reality that we are now ushering in, even though we made it to a time of progress where this was no longer an issue. We are inviting it back. It is racist.
It is not the
wrong.
same. In any way, shape, or form, is this the same as Jim Crow? What you
It's-
actually
it is
have,
absolutely
what you
the
actually
same.
have in the minute is go to a show in the West End. It feels like Jim Crow already. It's already a whiteout. This is an anti-racist way.
But
to
if
try and
white
encourage
people,
black
but if
audiences-
white people did this, we're the KKK.
you
says
do
James
it all the
Barr.
time.
Okay.
This is the point.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
here's
Can
the
I just speak
problem.
from a queer perspective
Here's
for a
the
second?
problem.
From a queer, what about a very
So as a gay-
ignorant perspective?
As a gay person,
KKK.
it's important that I am sometimes in a space of other queer people that is just queer people, so I feel safe to be myself.
You exclude
without
straight
worrying,
people like me?
okay? I would exclude
Big-
you,
that's
Piers, but
bigoted.
if you want to go to JAY with me,
I've been
more
there,
than
mate.
Let's
I've
go
been
together.
there.
Great. But listen, my point is, we need safe spaces so that we feel safe. And actually, you're talking about it being
We
racist
don't.
wouldn't feel
to exclude
unsafe
white
with
people.
me standing
Why are
there.
white people not making black people feel
Do
safe?
you feel
That's the
unsafe
question.
now?
That is the
Do
question.
you feel unsafe now with a straight guy opposite you?
Not really, no.
Do you feel unsafe with a
not
white
about
guy
any
sitting
It's
white
not
with
guy.
about that,
It's
Piers.
about
To be
10,000
honest,
white
sometimes
people
I do
say
feel a bit
already.
unsafe sat here, actually. Yes, especially with the comments that
Well,
you
after
receive.
comparing my position to KKK,
I did not compare that. I said you could join them if you wanted that. That's what I said.
so yeah, just to be clear, if it's free from the black gaze, it's KKK. Free from the white gaze, that's
This is an anti.
emancipation.
This is
Right.
an anti-racist idea. This is what the whole point is, to address a problem.
It's
in the cultural
actually,
sector.
in its
That's the
own
point.
way,
That's what
it's just blatant racism.
It's not racism
It
at all.
is.
It's not racist.
It's
You can still
excluding
vote.
people on their skin colour.
No.
It's the exact opposite
People-
of what
white
Martin
people
Luther
can
King
still
said. Judge people by the
But
content
you
of their
just a minute
character.
ago, you were trying to exclude Meghan Markle.
Oh, you
from
can't
being
get
black.
more safe in a
You were
theatre
literally-
audience.
You were just
the idea
trying to-
that someone like Kahindi Andrews goes to a theatre and feels unsafe because he sees a white person.
Piers, a minute ago, you were
Absolutely
excluding
ridiculous.
Meghan Markle from being black because of her skin colour. Now you're saying that's not allowed. So
Say
which
that
is
again?
it? You just excluded Meghan Markle for her skin colour like 20 minutes ago.
When?
You were saying she wasn't black enough.
No, I asked Kahindi whether he believes she's a black woman.
Yeah, she could come
Right?
to the show.
We've actually had
She could come to the show.
another
allowed.
guest.
Yeah, she's allowed,
We've
yeah.
had another guest say she thinks she's a mixed race woman, right? I think terminology matters.
Right.
You don't?
No, of course I think terminology matters, but I'm just saying you are defining someone by skin colour and then a minute later
I didn't
saying,
actually define her skin
Can I
colour.
ask a question to you, Pete?
I didn't actually define her skin colour. I asked Kahindi and I asked Amala. They disagreed.
Can I ask a question, please? What's wrong with just going on a different day? You can still go. You can go on any other day.
It's not. It's the
like
point.
2
The
days.
point,
What's
the point
what
Kahindi,
exactly
is this:
the problem?
if anybody tried in this country or America to have a white-only audience to avoid the black gaze,
already
all hell would
happened.
break loose.
Yeah.
And you know who would lead the charge?
No.
You
It
would.
already happened.
You would, Kahindi
It
Andrews.
already happened.
You would
Segregated
accuse them of
communities,
being racist,
segregated
and you
schools.
would say in your normal
Piers.
virtue signaling way, it's the Ku Klux Klan come back.
Segregated
And that's
communities.
why you're both guilty of rank hypocrisy.
Segregated communities, segregated schools, segregated
And
theatres.
racism.
These happen today.
Yeah,
That's why-
Amala,
It's not.
a voice of common sense on this
They're
panel?
they're guilty of racism.
Listen,
Is
I love
essentially what
white
it is.
people,
And to
okay?
Mr.
White
Andrews'
people,
point,
some of
when
my
he
best
says-
friends
when-
are white, so
when he-
I cannot
when
be
he
racist
says
towards
that
white people.
theaters- Okay, here's the issue with this way of thinking. You notice a disparity amongst race and you immediately attribute it to racism. Mr. Andrews says, you know, there are theaters that sometimes you go to them and there's all white people in the audience. Now, I don't know that that is actually true, but if you attribute that to racism, that is your problem. If you feel safe or unsafe in a space that contains white people, that is your problem.
I don't
It
think
is not
it's
our
racist. I think it's
responsibility.
economically racist. I think the reason that most of the audiences in the West End are white is because of an economic problem.
But it's not. I, as a black person, have attended the theater all
so
of
it's
my
not.
life.
Did you
Every
study
single black
economics?
person that has. Every black person in the UK has the very same
So why don't they?
choice to go and be in the theater.
why don't
And
they? Because
even
they
if it
can't
was
afford
because
to.
of an economic disparity, that economic disparity does not exist purely because of racism. And to attribute it purely to racism is to ignore a ton of other problems that are existing within the black community
So,
and
can I ask a
blame
question?
white
Why
people
is it
for
then?
it.
So why is it? Because actually, you'll find in America as well, there are hugely segregated audiences for comedy, for theatre, for. Why is that? Why is it you
They're
can
not.
literally go, yes, oh my, yes, there are. If you're saying this, what country do you live in
segregate-
that you cannot tell me right now? If you go see a comedy, in a black community in America, it's just all black people. And you can go to see the same thing in a white community, it's all white people. Residential segregation. Why do these things happen?
So just because people tend to be with other people of their similar race does not mean that those shows are segregated. To segregate something is to exclude a group of people, which is exactly what these blackout theaters are doing. Just because you happen to attend a show that is full of black people or full of white people does not mean that there is some sort of segregation actively happening. And it is a failure in your thinking. Yes,
it's just by sometimes that America is one of the most.
It is how some people have been complaining or are complaining about the exact same thing they are doing, but when it's done to them is a problem. But if they are doing or dishing it out to some people or to another person, it is not a problem. So it is okay to have a black only space or black only theater, but as safe space, right? But when it's a white only theater, it is racist, it is segregation. Okay, now we understand and we get what they are trying to say, because they can dish it out, but they can't take it.
Segregated
things
countries
happen.
in the world. It just happens. You have these large
America's
ghettos.
not
I've actually, I go to the
happens,
I go to the comedy store in Los Angeles. It's always a completely mixed race audience. I mean, this idea that everything is segregated is absurd.
Nobody said everything was
Do you
segregated.
ever go to America?
I never said everything was segregated, but I can promise you there will be.
I've been to the theatre
which are
around America.
white,
I've been to
mostly black,
concerts. I've been to sport. Always extremely multicultural audiences. This idea it's all segregated is for the birds.
This is what the victimhood mentality brings about. You should not be
I can't use the word birds now, but
I
think my point is, like,
because James Barr's offended.
I think
misogynist to birds.
My overarching point is, do we believe in safe spaces for marginalised communities? Yes, I do as a queer person. So I see why this is a great idea.
Yeah, but you don't feel that way, oddly, about the trans debate, do you? You feel very differently about the trans debate.
I don't think women should be excluded.
You
from
think
any
biological
space.
males should be allowed into women's spaces without a moment's thought for women's rights to not have that happen. So you are a rank hypocrite.
I don't think any woman should be excluded from any female space.
Right, but you don't mind biological males identifying as women.
I don't think any woman should be excluded.
So
from
a 6'7" bearded biological male says I'm a woman. You're happy with them going?
A bearded woman should not be excluded from a female space.
Right. So you think all trans women are women?
I do believe all trans women are women.
Are all people?
Why are you trying to trip me up? I've made my point very clear.
Are all people who put their hand up and say I'm a woman a woman?
If you officially are a woman on your passport or your birth certificate, you are a...
Wait, did he just say if you are a woman in your birth certificate or in your passport, you are a woman? So he just countered himself. That means trans women are biological men. So, I mean, we are both basically saying the exact same thing, but it's obvious how they just want to confuse themselves and act like we are the ones that are confused.
Here's my question.
That's my answer, Piers. I'm not giving you a different answer.
Is anybody who puts their hand up and says, I'm a woman,
Trans women are women.
No, it wasn't my question.
That identify as women,
is anyone who identifies as a woman a woman?
I believe so.
Okay, so you can identify as anything you want.
But do you know how difficult it is to get to the point where you identify as a woman?
Okay.
Or how difficult it is to legally identify as a woman?
Wait a minute.
Do you know how difficult that is?
Let's test your theory.
Do you know that...
Wait a minute. Let's test your theory. I am a woman.
He just said
Piers, you're being an idiot.
Am I a woman?
Of course you're not a woman. You know you're not a woman.
So everybody who identifies as a woman is not a woman.
You're simplifying something so complicated. It's so frustrating.
Safe spaces
Do you believe
for
in a
black
safe
people
space?
like Gahindi.
Do you believe in a safe space for women or not?
For gay people like James Barr.
Honestly,
no safe spaces for women.
Yes, safe spaces for women. Actually, Piers, do you believe in a safe space for women?
No safe spaces for women.
Do you believe in a safe space for women?
Trans women are trans women.
Do you believe in a safe space for women?
Biological females should be protected.
Do you believe
and have their own safe
space for women or not? Do you believe in a safe space for women?
I don't think trans women are women.
I've not asked you
They're
that. I've asked
women.
you if you think women's spaces should be safe for women.
Women should be given safe spaces from biological males.
So if your answer is a woman's space should be safe for women, your answer is that a black space should be safe for black people.
No, because there's no fear for black people in the theatre. It's ridiculous.
Well, oh my God, fear. It's not about fear. Like when we say safe space, I don't
Can
think I'm
we
going to be.
unpack
It's not about. Yeah.
Amala,
Thank you.
jump in, please. You're the only voice of common sense.
Let's explain why this is the case and why Piers might believe that there should be safe spaces for women. Men function
I
at a
literally think that
biological
too.
advantage over women. They can harm women. Women become victims. This is why trans women, who are AKA biological men, cannot be allowed into women's spaces. There is an actual distinct, studyable biological advantage. Is there a biological advantage that white people have over black people? Absolutely not. And this invisible privilege that we seem to give to them does in fact not exist. That is why there are safe spaces for women and not safe spaces for black people.
Sorry, that is
Amala.
utterly ludicrous. Safe
nonsense.
spaces for women is not about physical attack either. Sometimes it is.
Actually, it
it's
is.
not all about physical
Actually,
attack.
It absolutely
absolutely
is.
About physical
It
attack. No, it's
absolutely
not.
is.
If we're saying you want to have a women's reading group,
had-
it's not just about physical attack.
The first-
it's about more than that.
Right, the
And to
first
trivialise
minister,
it to that is ridiculous.
the first
To make
minister,
the whole argument
the
ridiculous.
first minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, literally lost her job because she allowed a biological male rapist to identify as a woman and put them into a female prison where they
I don't
could-
think a prison
where
would
they
be
could
a safe
attack-
space.
Honestly, this is
they could
thinking
attack
right-wing
more
hypocrisy.
victims. It's not
Because on
right-wing.
one hand, yes, it
I'm
is.
not right-wing.
On one hand, you're saying a safe space should exist for women, but only if they feel threatened by someone that is bigger than them.
Let me be
And then
clear.
on the other hand, you're
No.
saying, well, these are all these black people
No.
that are going to go to the blackout events, who you've not asked, by the way, clearly do not feel unsafe around white people.
I don't know
and
a
so
single,
they shouldn't have a safe
I've
space.
Never met
What
a
are you talking about?
I've never met a single black person who says, I can't go to the theatre because I worry about my safety.
It's not about safety.
Nobody
It's
worries
not
about their
theatre
safety in a
either, is it?
It's not
theatre.
even about the theatre. It's about saying there are, and I promise, and as a
You
middle class-
literally use the phrase safe space.
Yeah, but safe, what does safe mean? So safe, let me give you an example.
does it
right?
mean?
I'll tell you right now.
I thought it meant safe.
I'll tell you right now. There are certain stereotypes attached to me as a black man that I have to deal with in all white places. All the time.
Go on.
All the time. I walk in my university and people I know don't look at me because they're afraid of me.
Oh,
so
rubbish.
it's true, 100% true. When I go
Rubbish.
into, and I promise you, I've been into
People
these-
who know you
can't
in the
just say
university.
his experience is rubbish.
Read
That's
the
the
book.
truth.
It's in the book.
Let me get this straight. You go through your
I know-
university and
yes.
people who know you
Yes, will
are
not look at me.
terrified of you.
Because they don't look at me.
Huh?
I see a black man walking down and will look down.
If I'd watched you on,
Promise
mate,
Promise
if I'd watched you on
Promise
TV, I'd probably give you a swerve too. Nothing to do with your
My
skin
point is,
colour.
when I go into these theaters, and I go into these white theaters, you do have to act differently. You have to be different because you can't.
No,
trust
that's
that someone's
not. That is. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God, we literally
That
had
is
somebody
utter-
call the police on a black man because.
That's like me saying when I go to a Beyonce concert, I feel terrified because there are too many black
The idea
people.
that
It's
white people
ridiculous.
cannot harm black people is frankly ludicrous.
Yeah,
We see it happen all the
It's
time.
right,
so
let's
insane that you're top of the food chain, like as a white straight guy, and you can't accept that.
Top of the food chain.
Yeah, you
that
have
mean?
all the privilege, all the power.
Literally,
just
middle-aged
walk around-
white men are
Yes.
the most oppressed
Oh
people
my
in
God.
society.
How much money are you making from this
We
YouTube
are
channel?
literally the most oppressed people
how many views
in
are you getting right
society
now? How much
in the
money
world.
is that paying?
We are actually an endangered species.
Right.
Endangered
Crazy.
species. This
Yeah.
is
Lit-
We all know that protecting women's space is not the exact same thing as skin color or in regards to skin color. We get it that some people or some particular race or some people want to feel safe, but at the same time, let us not compare and think that women safe space and skin color safe space is the same thing, because obviously protecting women or having women's only or women's safe space is fine, is way to go and is what we need to build in the society. But when we talk about okay, black only space, nobody is talking about black safe space. But when we talk about having only black theater or only black spaces because they want to feel safe, who are they? Who is endangering them? So what you're trying to say is white people are the ones endangering them, or black people are in danger because of white people. So make it make sense. Exactly what are you saying? So obviously, if a white person is also doing the exact same thing to say, oh, they want to have their own safe space from black people, or they want to feel safe too to have their only space or their space, or have only white spaces, what would you call that? Of course, you call it racism, or you call it racist. So why are we excusing some particular or one particular group of people, or why are we excusing that behavior because it benefits or fits the narrative or the agenda some people are trying to push? Make it make sense. But this was an interesting conversation. Regardless, let me know what you think. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I would really love to share that. Can share the useful information I think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.